How can I do that? Well, a lot of times people say, well, you need to memorize all the notes on the fretboard. That'll open up the fretboard. Now, memorizing the notes is a good thing to do. If you become more and more advanced at the guitar, you clearly would like to memorize all the notes on the guitar, but my argument is that that is not the most efficient way to learn to maneuver up and down the fretboard, to open up the fretboard to actually play something up and down the fretboard. Why? Because we typically focus in on scales, which are gonna be 7 out of the 12 notes. We'll talk more about that shortly. The next thing we could do is say, by relying on scale or mode shapes based on relative positions alone. So on a guitar in particular, because it's completely symmetrical, which is a little bit different than the piano, so I'll touch on the piano later, but on the guitar we have a completely symmetrical grid system such as an Excel sheet. Now there's a little bit of a tweak in the tuning. We'll talk more about that later, but in general, everything can be moved up and down in basically a symmetrical way. That leads to a method of guitar based on shapes. We can learn different scale shapes. Now, when we think about the music theory concept, note all the different scale shapes that come into play. We end up having, all of the major scales, which if we go through the 12 notes, ends up with 12 different scales. And if we look at each of the 7 notes within those scales, we end up with 7 modes. So you end up having to think that you have to learn 7 times 12 different scale shapes.